those two concepts with the preachers of LA plus that Milgram kind of understanding form that article, which is look away from the stage. And what am I saying with the look away from the stage? It's kind of touching, going back to what I think you're bringing up, is you are the person that's supposed to represent the kingdom directly yourself. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Unlock the Kingdom Within You. This podcast explores the profound truth about what it means to be born into the kingdom, not a religion. On this podcast, we challenge the religious and denominational norms which shackle us from expressing the liberty of Christ by exploring the kingdom, the ecclesia, and citizenship. If you're born into the kingdom but lost in religion, then this channel is just for you. So thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
And I think it's interesting when we look back on that period, because so much was going on at that time, and the reason why I find it also interesting was, we had our fair share of rejection in that period. When you're trying to introduce, it's interesting, and I think I wanted to get your take on this. When you're part of groups of people who, I think there are parts of people that just don't want to change anything. Yeah, they're saying they'll look at you and they'll say, "There's nothing wrong with it. This is it. We've always done it this way." Then there's another group of people that say, "Not quite sure about this. I think we need to change this, but not quite sure how much." And then there's a group that's saying, "No, we want to change. We've got to change things for the Lord. We've got to make a difference." And then when you're bringing that difference in, they're the ones pushing back really hard against it, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought you wanted change. This is the type of change we're talking about.
This is something that threw me off a bit around that time, and it did have an impact on us, on our ministry and everything we're doing around that time, because as I said, I felt like I was with in part of another group, kind of like a house fellowship, but I don't know if I'll call it a house fellowship, because we met in different places and we threw different events, tackling a whole range of different issues. And there was a group of young people that were on fire for God, when I say on fire, I mean fire in terms of at least the passion was there.
There was. In
terms of the maturity, probably at that time we thought we were great and mature, but actually I think life reveals things, because what a young person sees as mature might be, I don't know, maybe they're going outside and evangelizing. I don't know what they think. But as you grow older, can you sustain a family? Can you sustain community? The things that you consider and think about differ. But anyways, I was in our area, we even me and my brother and brothers, we were really like about outreach in the local area. That's how I connected with lots of people the local area in the first place. But we used to go to this group on Thursdays and study just a Bible study. And I had more affinity with them than I did with like over churchified kind of people. What I found interesting was when we connected and we were introducing citizenship and talking about a whole range of stuff, and we decided to hold an event, like an official event, which we called Voice of Truth. And the idea was to gather. I was quite excited because I was like, these are my peoples, and not only are we're gonna sit down with this, but it's kind of like with this type of people on this message. It's like great, but what actually happened was and by the way, a lot of the culture around that time was criticizing church, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it has its place. So there's lots of like, oh, look at this pastor, look what he's doing, look what they're doing in the church, that needs to change. We need to change this, the zeal of young people to change things. And so at this event, I was surprised because I remember even one a girl or lady, should I say, standing up, and she said, "This message is powerful. This is great. This is fantastic. Why are you bringing it to us? Why are you not bringing it to the pastors and the preachers?" I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
And now the reason that threw me off was like, it was like, how do you see yourself? Don't you see that though we're quite young, we are the next generation? So we are coming to the pastors and the the
Future
leaders,
leaders, the future leaders.
current, the things we're doing, but it's kind of like definitely future. But that's when I discovered that the stronghold of churchianity was super strong.
Yeah.
Whilst people are comfortable to criticize the church and critique and say all these kind of things, people actually love the church just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love the system of it. They love. That's one thing I discovered that was surprising to me, because whilst I operated in the church and I loved the people of the church, I felt already that, okay, this system is not what the way things are structured. This is not what the Lord is trying to do right now. Yeah. So, but it doesn't mean, but anyway, that was my feeling. And I felt like a lot of people had this similar feeling. But I discovered that people were literally running in the opposite direction, trying to recreate church. They were trying to be the new generation of the old school leaders, the old school church, the old school ways, And I'm seeing all these young people, my age and younger and a bit older, coming into new positions. Even now, I see people when you speak to the younger generation and you see them talking about some of your peers or people that and you see how they look at them because of their celebrity status, maybe they're musicians and stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes you reflect on who were you looking up to and thinking that they were something,
Exactly.
Because the reality of things now,
Can I just come in on that? I want to come in on that because you wrote a blog, which I think was so crucial in that not in that period. You didn't write it in that period. You wrote it afterwards, but I think it really spoke of the sentiment of the way you were journeying, and that was the looking away from the stage.
Look away from the stage, yes.
Look away from the stage, and so I just wanted to also bear that in mind as you're talking, because I think that's a key part of what you've just said about this idea of trying to be critical of the church, wanting a different experience, but ultimately manifesting the same results.
Same results, yes. That article, Look Away from the Stage, I referenced, those two things that were kind of at play. There was a TV program that was kind of, taking the airwaves, and it was called Preachers of LA, I think. Preachers of LA.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Remember that, yeah? With Dietrich Haddon and a few other kind of people.
That's going back.
and before the show came out, they just had an advert, and it showed all these pastors, and they had this car coming, and this guy takes off his sunglasses, and it's like, for the Lord, and stuff. I actually happen to like that guy with the mustache and stuff.
Bling, the bling. It's all about bling. That's what it was.
That was quite funny. But it was like a big talk around, like, oh, this show is coming, the Preachers of LA. It's kind of like a reality TV of ministers, stuff. So that was happening. And in the article, I think I referenced in this article, the Milgram experiment. So the way the Milgram experiment, for those who are not familiar with it, is a doctor, I think he is. Basically, it's an experiment, okay? And one person is asked to shock somebody else on the other side who he can't see if they answer the questions wrongly, okay? So, and as they answer the questions, they would, every time they get a question wrong, they would have to turn it up and turn it up and turn it up to the point where it's actually painful, or you could kill the person. Yeah. Now, most people would not want to turn it up just because somebody answered the question wrong, to kill them for answering the question wrongly. Okay. By the way, the other person on the other side is part of the experiment. The person twisting the dial is the only person that doesn't know that they are the experiment. So why is the person twisting this thing and shocking his fellow man, even to the point where it's grieving his own spirit? He's struggling to, twist, because he looks at the doctor, the scientist, who tells him to do it. And because he's wearing a white coat, he trusts him. He believes he's a valid authority. And because he believes he's a valid authority, he is doing things that are completely violating his conscience. It's causing the suffering of another man. And they call that the Milgram's effect. So when it kind of explains how how people kill as well. Some people think,
and you could probably liken it to the Nazis and the Jews.
Exactly. All
the
kinds of
impact of
things
the
in
Holocaust.
all kinds of
Yeah,
things in society, even the lockdown, you know. If
yeah.
people trust an authority, all they need is the word of that authority, and then they kind of anchor their responsibilities on that authority as they carry on violating their own conscience. You know. So those two concepts with the preachers of LA plus that Milgram kind of understanding form that article, which is look away from the stage. And what am I saying with the look away from the stage? It's kind of touching, going back to what I think you're bringing up, is you are the person that's supposed to represent the kingdom directly yourself. Okay. But instead, you're still caught up in the whole of Christendom and you're looking to celebrity pastors, celebrity leaders, ministers of God to pray for you, to do things for you, this kind of weird kind of thing. You are supposed to, express the kingdom yourself, represent yourself. I'm not saying that you don't have order and eldership and all these things, but this lack of personal responsibility. One of my biggest frustrations around that time, and still now actually, is how the church system is like a school that you never graduate from. There's no graduation. It's there to keep you as a follower rather than as a leader, right? And so that lack of progression is really frustrating. And that's why a lot of people do become frustrated with church. A lot of times they outgrow a church in terms of maturity, and then they start having frustrations. But what was interesting around that time is that we're speaking to people that, that I thought kind of got that, okay, of course the Lord is doing something different, doing something new. Not something new, actually, he's doing something old. That's the key thing. The message of the kingdom and kingdom citizenship is old. It's not a new message. It's an old message. And so, yeah, the part of the surprise was just how much people actually love it the way it is, the way the church is. Like that Bible verse, that scripture that says, it says, "For my people love it this way." The priests are doing this, this thing is doing that, and my people love it this way. That's the scripture that kind of stood out to me around that time. I was a bit surprised. I was like, wow, people love it this way. And so part of the reason is that people not only love things a certain way, but sometimes it's just that people are not willing to challenge themselves or to do something that's different. And by the way, I don't blame people for that. I myself, by nature, am skeptical about anything new, like, some new doctrine, and all this kind of stuff. In fact, I believe in orthodoxy. That means, what is authentic is connected to the old, right? If it's not orthodox, it's probably dodgy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just fascinating that people are not willing to challenge themselves. Now, over the years, though, we have seen that when the Lord gives a message, opens a revelation, is doing something in a time period or season, or a thing that he's always been doing, and he's opening people's eyes to, it's not just to one man.
Yeah.
So we discover that the Lord is speaking to different people in different countries. Different people have been talking about the kingdom in different ways, right? And so what excites me today is when I connect with such people now. Because remember, I was so excited. If you just told me you're a Christian, you didn't have to finish the word. I'm a Christian. Oh, yeah. You're Christian. Yeah. You're my bestie. And then I started getting disappointed because I'm like, if you're a Christian, why are you doing this? Why are you living that way? So now if I meet somebody and the frequency is there, that excitement comes back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and you absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think there is so much that we've written over the years that we've blogged about.
Yeah.
That's what I find is that it's because it was authentic, it's still, the value is still there.
Yeah.
I remember when you wrote, was it outsourcing government? I think I did outsourcing responsibility, and I think you did outsourcing government.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, that was another really important blog. And I'm going to insert, for those who are listening or watching, if you head over to www.restorecitizenship.org and click on blogs, you'll be able to access Pelumi's articles there that he's written over the years. that really are very poignant about addressing particular things. And you also did another one which I thought was really, really good, and obviously that was about the Church of England. And you've said that you've taught on a number of things about the Church of England, and said quite a few things about the Church of England. Although I think I say for that from the perspective of not attacking the Church of England, the CFE, but rather addressing the problems with the institutional church system that has made itself essentially lukewarm to Christ and then unnecessary for society. Yes. As a result.
Don't get me started on the Church of England, because
the General Synod, to be specific.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, my message to anybody who is subscribed to the Church of England is to get out.
Yeah.
That's right. New article, just get out.
But that's it's funny again. It's the same thing though, isn't it? We were saying get out 10, 15, I was saying get out 15 years ago. We were saying 10 years ago, get out. And people are now like waking up to, oh, maybe I should get out.
Do you know what I discovered, Fred? Is that people constantly are like, maybe I should get out, like constantly waking up. They're always waking up to, oh no, now this bad thing is happening. And then what I discovered happens shortly after that is they're acclimatized to it. Yeah. So now they're waiting for another shocking thing. They don't realize that things have gone so far. It's like if you were in the in the zone, you discover this. It's like it's so far gone.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
The things that people get shocked about, to me, I'm just like, okay, like it was shocking a long time ago.
Yeah, for me, it's like it's the bottom end of the wedge.
Yeah,
it's guys, at the top end of the wedge is where you should have been picking this up on. Now we're at the bottom end of the wedge. It's like, what did you expect?
And another thing I'll say I've learned on the journey is that if you don't move and you don't actively do things to migrate with the Lord in your faith, you're not gonna move. Like time doesn't just move you. In fact, in some ways, you probably regress. And that's what
you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, because I think that surprised me over the years when you connect with somebody from a long time ago and you discover they are exactly where you left them.
Mm.
And that surprises me. But a good friend actually said to me, he said, why would you be surprised that people are exactly where you left them if they haven't journeyed? And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you don't journey, you don't move. And so I think, though, that there is a greater willingness for people to migrate and I think there's a general sense that God's people are kind of out of sync, in that we've seen the governments of the world playing all kinds of games. We saw a global lockdown that has never been seen in this kind of way. We're seeing the World Economic Forum. We're seeing citizenship being tampered with, playing around in all kinds of ways. In the US, we just saw a president. In fact, the current president is kind of like, is he all right up there? The previous president was like a mover and shaker, and
disruptor,
gathered in such a way that, and people have not yet recovered from all this kind of big tech, big government, big
data.
Big data. And I think as all these big monumental shifts are taking place, the question is, okay, what are we supposed to be doing? Like, what is the church? Another thing, a question might have the fact that in the UK, there was a lockdown of the church, if you remember. There was
due to
COVID. Due to COVID. So a lot of churches probably lost their congregations, had to probably readjust. But I think that it gave a moment of reflection, because all the institutions that were being shut down, the point being made was that they are not essential.
Yeah.
So essential workers can carry on, but non-essential should stay closed. So they were saying that the church is non-essential by kind of saying it should be closed. It depends how you want to take it. But that's something that I think that season allowed a lot of people to reflect. And also the fact that a lot of people could not go to church to do the same routine that they normally do. I think that break in your pattern might cause you to reflect a bit, possibly. You know, some people probably were asking questions like, okay, if I'm not going to church, because, you know, some people it's like a top up. They need to go to church to feel like, yeah, you know, I'm faithful, you know. So if they can't go to church, they're like, wait, hold up, what's going on, you know? So anyways, the Lord always brings different types of things. It could be trauma. It could be all kinds of things that will get our attention if he doesn't have our attention. And so I think there is a greater appetite right now and a thirst for the kingdom, for the message of the kingdom, for exploring, is this what the current model, typical models of church and Christendom that we see, is this what the Lord died for? Is this his agenda? Or have we replaced Christendom, replaced the kingdom with Christendom? Have we replaced the kingdom with Christendom?
Thank you for joining our fireside talk about the kingdom. My name is Fred Tobun, and I hope this podcast has been a blessing to you. If you'd like to continue to receive fresh insight into the kingdom, click the notification bell to follow us. For further information about the kingdom, visit our website, www.unlockthekingdomwithinyou.com, to download your free ebook. See you soon.